Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kyra, and here on this channel we are all about real makeup for real life and real people. So today, as you would have seen from the title, is 1 week, 1 palette with the Natasha Denona Zendo Palette. If you missed it, I'll link the video down below. My hubby and I made a quick little getaway to Vegas for a couple of days. He took me to the Sephora at the Venetian and he actually picked this palette himself. Also, it was the only one I didn't have, so there's that too. This is what it looks like. I love this color story. I just hadn't planned on purchasing it myself because I have a lot of eyeshadow already, and I feel like this has aspects of other Natasha Denona palettes. Think gold palette over here, maybe the Biba palette in here. So, and you know, also the bronze palette. So I wasn't necessarily planning on getting this, but as a gift, of course, I am going to be excited to use this palette. I just thought that this is a really great way to test out a palette in sort of like a deep dive way, just using this day after day after day and just seeing how it all works out. So if you're curious about that, grab a drink. I don't normally tell you guys what to do, but you might want a snack or a drink because these tend to be longer videos. And on that note, why don't we go ahead and get into it. Guys, welcome to the first look for the 1 week, 1 palette with the Natasha Denona Zendo Palette. I've primed my eyes with the Fenty Beauty Eye Primer and set it into place with a bone colored eyeshadow, as I will do for every day this week. Using this dense blending brush, I'm going to go into this shade right here called Relief. Beautiful pinky coral shade. And I really want to apply this in a very concentrated manner, pretty much all over the lid as well as into the crease. And I like just kind of making the shape that I like, and then I'll go back and blend. Now I'm going to go into the shade Calm, which is right below, and I think this is a cream to powder shadow from the consistency of it. I love it. It's just a nice light wash. You're going to do a warm look out of this palette. It is going to be a beautiful transition on lighter skin tones. It could definitely be a brightening lid shade for deeper skin tones. All right, next, another shade that I tend to have a little bit of trouble incorporating into my looks is red. So I thought that would be a great way to sort of deepen up the outer part of the lid slash outer V area and, you know, just add a little bit of depth to the coral shade. So that shade is called Vigor. And I actually don't mind that. I'm just not a big red eyeshadow person, but it is deepening things up without taking away from the brightness of the coral. Next, I think I want to try to go back into the shade Calm with a flat eyeshadow brush. See if I can, whoa, okay, that really disrupted the shadow. See if I can pick up enough shadow here to brighten this inner part of the lid. So I kind of want to put the gold shade in the middle of the lid and not on the inner part. For me, it's just not quite brightening enough. I like to have a very open eye look. I feel like the shadow's kind of crumbling a little bit. Oh yeah, and I'm feeling fallout. Not consistent with what I've come to expect from Natasha Denona. I mean, it's not at all unworkable. I like the shade. I just don't feel like this is consistent with other eyeshadows, cream to powder or not, that I have experienced from Natasha Denona. We're gonna go into this golden shade right here called Luster. And in swatching this, it is a little bit more of a sheer shade. It's not super foiled, it's more shimmery I don't want to say glittery because I wouldn't say it's a glittery shadow. I'm going to take a little bit on my finger though and see. Yeah, I like that better. Just lightly tapping this on. I think I'm going to go in with my Becca Opal that I'm working on panning and just pop a little of this on the inner corner. And I really think that's all she wrote. So I'm gonna pop off of here, do some liner, mascara, a lip, the hair, the whole thing, and then I'll come back to show you the completed look for day one. All right, we are back. This is the completed look. I absolutely love it. It is fun, it's coral, it's a little outside of my comfort zone. I did finish off the eyes with, surprise, a liquid liner. This is the Benefit Roller Liner, and this is the shade Brown, which I've always wanted a brown liquid liner. And then I tight lined with the Wet n Wild Simmer Brown now, as always, and used the e.l.f. Lash It Loud mascara on my lashes. I'm loving that. Then I lined my lips with the ColourPop BFF2 lip liner. I went in with a little bit of my MAC Velvet Teddy that I'm working on in Partners in Cream, and topped it off with my ColourPop Luxe Lip Gloss in the shade Health Kick. Let me know what you think of this look and stay tuned because day two is coming at you right now. Here we are in the second day with the Natasha Denona Zendo Palette. I think what I want to do is start with this shade up here called Balance. It's just a nice warm light to mid-tone, hopefully transition shade for me. I'm gonna pick it up on a big old fluffy and start applying this in the transition area. Next I'm gonna go into this deep green, army green, dusty green shade down here called Zeal. I'm gonna take a little bit more dense blending brush. This is the same brush that I used yesterday to apply the coral shade, and I like it because it is dense, so it does apply the matte shadows really nicely. Definitely one of my favorite brushes from Delium Tools. It's the 781 crease brush. I'm gonna go back into our original shade Balance here with that fluffy brush and give a nice blend. Make sure everything looks nice and seamless. Next, I'm going to place this beautiful shade called Breath. It is a cream to powder formula. I'm hoping it doesn't behave like that shade Calm did yesterday, where it sort of crumbles as you get into it more. And I want to apply this on the part of the lid that is still blank, so to speak, and then blend it into the deeper green. I feel like these cream to powder shadows in this palette are a little bit more dry than her usual cream to powders. I really like that. I could stop right here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to place a tiny bit of NYX glitter primer in the center between the two shades, and then we're going to go into the next shadow. This shade called Yama, sorry. And I'm just going to take this on my finger. It's such a pretty duochrome. Wow, I love it. It's kind of like peachy, but at the same time, you can see that it has like a goldish green reflect to it. She's pretty. She is pretty. Where are you? Just want to make sure I've got as much on as can stick on. I'm going to go in with a little brushy here. Maybe take a little tiny bit up into the crease so it shows when the eye is open. I am in love with that. I think I'm going to keep it simple under the eye today. First, I'm going to use liner under the eye, and then I'm going to come back and blend out that liner with that original shade called Balance, which admittedly was darker than I anticipated. So I'm gonna quick pop off of here, do some liner and mascara, finish off the lower lash line, a lip, the hair, and then I will be back to show you the final look. All right, we are back. This is the finished look, and I am in love. I love that bright minty pop on the inner part of the lid. It is so pretty. I finished off the eyes by putting the ColourPop Super Shock highlight in the shade Lunch Money on the inner corner. For liner, I used the Wet n Wild Simma Brown Now Kohl eyeliner as per usual. For lashes, I used my e.l.f. Lash It Loud mascara. For lips, I went in with my MAC Velvet Teddy Mini lipstick. I'm working on this in a project, so I'll be wearing it a lot. And to change things up, I went in with the MAC Soar lip liner. I love this look, dare I say, more than yesterday's look, because I love green. I hope you guys enjoyed this look as well, and stay tuned because day 3 is coming up right now. Guys, here we are for day 3 with the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. I actually think I'm gonna start off in the crease with this shade Calm from the other day. It's the one that sort of had some crumbly texture to it, but when I rub my finger over it, it does like go back to its creamy texture. So I'm not sure what that's about, but it's okay. Next, I'm gonna go into this shade in the top row called Balance, and I kind of put Calm down first to hopefully soften the look a little bit. Right. To deepen things up, I'm gonna go into this cream to powder shadow up here called Mindful. And I'm gonna start this on the outer part of the lid, sort of bringing it up at an angle. This is definitely a very orangey brown, almost like verging on a rust color. And I really like it. And then I'm gonna go back into the shade Balance here for the lower lash line and just buff some of this under the eye. Alright, so I know I used this shade in the first look, but I have got to go back in with this shade Sense. It's like bronze, but it also has like a peachy, pinky shift to it. And I'm gonna put this on the outer part of the lid, center to outer part of the lid. It's just so gorgeous. I can't even stand it. And it goes so perfectly with the warm tones in the palette. I am going to take that same shade on a pencil brush from e.l.f. here and run this on the lower lash line, just about the same distance across as I brought it on the lid. Okay, then I'm gonna go in with this beautiful shade right here called Aura. It's definitely peachy, and I feel like it has a little bit of a golden shift to it, so it really does look beautiful with these warmer tones. Another thing that I am noticing with this palette is that the metallics in here, I would not call metallics, even though they're labeled as metallic, you know, on the packaging. It is, I feel like they're more shimmers, not satin, not quite that dull, so to speak, just aren't as shiny as what I've come to expect from Natasha Denona. And lastly, I do think I want a little brightening on the inner part of the lid and inner corner, so I'm going to go into this shade, which I believe is probably the lightest shade in the palette, called Tranquil. And I'm going to first highlight the inner corner and sort of the inner crease by pulling it up. And then I'm going to add a little bit to the innermost part of the lid. It's not super brightening. So I am going to go ahead and dip into my MAC Soft and Gentle highlight that I have on today and pick a little up for a true brightening just on the inner corner. So this is the eye look. I'm gonna pop off, do some liner, mascara, lips, the hair, and we'll come back and I'll show you the completed look. All right, we are back. This is the completed look, and as predicted, it's not my favorite. I did do some liquid liner wings today with the Benefit Roller Lash in brown. Then I went in with the e.l.f. Big Mood mascara. For lips, I went in with the ColourPop BFF2 lip liner, and then for a gloss, I went in with the Maybelline Lifter Gloss in the shade Amber. I do like the shadows I used today. I thought the cream to powder shadow that I used, the deeper brown, was much better than the first cream to powder shadow that we used. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look. Let me know down below, what do you think of day 3? And I will see you in just a moment for day 4. Guys, and here we are in day 4 of 1 week, 1 palette with the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. I think I'm going to go in very, very lightly with the shade Balance in my transition. I cleaned my mirror this morning and now it's like all kinds of wonky. I can't seem to get it into the position I normally have it in. Silly things. Next, I'm gonna go in with this cream to powder shade called Mantra. I am very excited to use this shade and put a little bit on the outer corner and then go into the inner corner. Once I have less pigment on the brush, that is pretty and vibrant. Love it. The thing I love about her cream to powder formula is that it can really be pigmented if you wanted it to, but you can also go in and sort of sheer it out for more of a wash of color. So today I'm going to shoot for a little bit more pigment on the outer corner than the inner corner. Now I'm going to go in with my brush at a different angle and place some on the inner corner. For my eye shape, I like to take it up a little higher than some might for a halo eye. Wow, that is such a pretty color. Next, I want to go into the deeper of the 2 teal shimmers called Equilibrium. And what do we think? I feel like I'm gonna put a glitter glue on first. Just kind of pack this all on the center of the lid and overlapping the cream to powder shade just a little bit. So my favorite brush to place a halo is this little tiny flat brush here. And I'm going to take this into the shade Flow. This is a really beautiful shade. Let's take it on the phalange here. So hopefully you can see a little bit of a difference at least between the 2 shades. Picking up that same shade, and I'm going to spray it with a little bit of the Mario Badescu facial spray. I'm going to go in with the shade Breath and the sort of longer flat shadow brush from Sigma. It is their shader lid E56. I'm going to pop this on the inner corner, but I'm also going to bring it up and highlight the crease with it. And then for the lower lash line, all I'm going to do is reach into the shade Balance here and sort of buff that along the lower lash line. So, all right, that is the look. I'm gonna pop off, do some liner and mascara, a lip, the hair, and the whole thing, and I'll be back to show you the completed look. All right, party people, we are back and the look is complete. I went ahead and lined my eyes with my Wet n Wild Kohl liner in Simmer Brown now. And for lashes, I used my e.l.f. Lash It Loud mascara. For lips, I went in with my classic MAC Whirl lipstick. no, lip liner. And then for the rest, I went in with the ColourPop Luxe Lip Oil in the shade Bengal. I felt like all of the shadows performed beautifully. I wish that that shade Flow, this one down here, was just a tiny bit brighter or lighter than it is in terms of, it kind of blends into the darker teal, I felt like, a little bit, but otherwise, very happy with this look, and I will see you very soon for the last one. Final day of 1 week, 1 palette with the Natasha Denona Zendo Palette. Really excited to do a quick look for you today and give you my thoughts on this palette. I think I'm gonna first go in with the shade Balance down here in the crease. And I really haven't done anything super neutral with this palette yet, so I thought, why not? We'll do that today. And then on the same brush, I'm gonna go in with this kind of crumbly shade called Calm down here. And I'm gonna use this to blend out the edges of the first shade. Just a little peak of coral peachiness there. It's a nice tone to blend out the shade Balance. Next, I'm gonna go into this brown down here called Mindful. And I've kind of picked it up on this flat eyeshadow brush, and I use this kind of to wing things out or bring my shadow in at an angle when I do my outer V, like that. And then I take it and I blend it inward a little. So I'm thinking what I want to do next is to go in with this coral shade called Relief on the lid, and then I want to layer the duochrome called Yama over top. I just think this would be such a pretty base color to that shade. I hope I'm right. Pretty. I could leave it right there and be totally happy with this look, but I'm very curious about how the shade Yama will layer over top of other colors besides the greens that we tried it with this week. I think I'm gonna put some glitter glue on. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the shade Yama with my fingers to start anyway. That is gorgeous. I hope you guys can see it on camera. I love it. Just add some more. Don't mind if it gets up in the crease myself, but you do you, boo. I kind of want to leave a little bit of the coral peeking on the inner part of the lid. I love this. This might be my favorite look that I've done with this palette. Okay, lower lash. I'm gonna go in with Mindful on a very pointy pencil brush, and I love using the cream to powder formula on the lower lash line. It works just about as well as any eyeliner. I'm gonna go ahead and use my MAC Soft and Gentle highlight that I have in monochromatic this month. It's peachy, but it's also icy. I think it'll be pretty. All right, I'm gonna pop off of here, liner, mascara, lip, the hair, the whole thing, and then we'll come back and talk about my thoughts on the Zendo palette. All right, I am back, and this is the completed look for day 5. Finished off the eyes with the Wet n Wild eyeliner as always, and went in with the e.l.f. Big Mood mascara. And then I just added a little bit of the Bobbi Brown Crushed Oil Infused Gloss in the shade Free Spirit over top of everything else that's on my lips right now. So let's go ahead and talk about the palette. First of all, I enjoyed this palette more than I thought I was going to. I will say, look at this shade right here. It looks like I could honestly hit pan if I used this for like another week. Which is interesting because the cream to powders, the other 3, did not behave that way. The light shade Calm down here it really fades throughout the day. When I had it all over the lid in one of the looks, by the end of the day, that pigment had completely worn away. Now, in a crease application like we did it today, it seemed to do fine, but on the actual lid, it definitely seemed to fade for me. This one, however, Breath, this light green here, stayed all day the day that I created the green look, and that was definitely my favorite look. I love this look, but the green one is definitely my favorite look. Probably my least favorite look was the one with the blue turquoise shades, only because it was pretty dark and I didn't feel like there was anything really in the palette that I could further lighten up the halo that I tried to do. So just a preference thing, but I really like this palette again more than I thought I was going to. I love the addition of this very staple mid-tone warm brown matte, sort of a camel brown. Overall, I think it performs really well. I do think I have a little tiny bit of hard pan forming in the shade Yama, but partially I have used it wet, and also it just happens when I use my finger a lot, oils from your hands and your skin, etc. But probably my favorite shades would be Breath, Yama, and I love this shade over here called Sense. That's like a bronzy shade with like a peachy pink shift. It is so pretty. And in terms of mattes, I really love that pop of coral in the center there. So overall, I mean, I definitely give this my stamp of approval if you're interested in it, and as long as you, know that this calm shade down here can be a little crumbly, a little less pigmented. Overall, I feel like it's Natasha Denona's standard of quality and performance. I know not everybody was a fan of this palette, and that's okay. These are expensive palettes. If it isn't something that absolutely makes your heart sing, then skip it, because there will be another one, if there isn't already. So I love this palette. I love that it is commemorative of mine and hubby's trip to Vegas. I do see myself using this more than I thought I might when I originally started the week with this. The more I play with it, the more I am inspired by it, the more I can see other looks that I would like to create with it. And I just think there's a lot that could be done with this, especially in terms of layering. The other thing I'll mention is that the metallics in here are not like your foiled high shine metallic shadows in some of the other Natasha Denona palettes, for example, the Gold palette or the Biba palette. But I don't mind that. Least favorite shade in the palette is probably Luster, this yellowy gold, but that's just me and my preferences. I'm not a big yellow gold person, but I will say I like that it's more sheer, because I think it could layer over some different shades and really make a nice effect, almost like a green effect if you would layer it over one of these blues perhaps. So even though it's not my favorite shade, I still think it's useful, and I still think I might make use of it with this palette. So I hope you guys enjoyed 1 week 1 palette with the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. For those of you that know my collection relatively well, which palette would you like to see in a 1 week 1 palette capacity where I really deep dive into the palette? Let me know down below. Thank you for spending this week with me and my Natasha Denona Zendo palette. I appreciate you guys. I know these are longer videos, so if you stuck around till the end, thank you so much. I hope you'll consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it today. And I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days. And I will see you in my next video real soon.